Palestine, authorities registered more than 8,000 people killed and over 21,000 wounded in Israel's relentless bombings of Gaza. In Colombia, regional and local elections continue. Over 38 million citizens are called to the polls. And in Kazakhstan, the death toll in coal mine collapse rose to 42. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Since the beginning of the Israeli attacks on Palestine, 8,005 people have been killed and more than 21,000 injured as a result of the bombings. The Gaza Health Ministry reports that the Israeli occupation forces committed 56 massacres in the last 24 hours, claiming the lives of 302 people. These attacks bring the number of Palestinians killed to 8,005. According to the health authority, more than 21,000 people have been injured so far as a result of the bombardments. The Gaza health authorities warned that the collapse of the health system in the Strip is increasing every day. It was confirmed that 12 hospitals have been shut down and 32 health care centers have stopped operating. The Palestinian Red Crescent reported that it received threats from the Israeli occupation forces to immediately evacuate the Al-Quds hospital in the besieged Gaza Strip. The health organization said that the area around the hospital has been the target of continuous incursions. This hospital is home to more than 400 sick people and some 40,000 civilians sheltering from the bombardment. Support demonstrations for the Palestinian people continue. In Lebanon, citizens took to the streets of Beirut to show their support for the Palestinian cause on the 23rd day of the Israeli siege. Citizens of the Lebanese capital expressed their rejection of the attacks perpetrated by Israel against the Gaza Strip. Demonstrators also rejected the illegal Israeli occupation not only of the Palestinian territories but also of the territories of southern Lebanon. The population also condemned the Israeli attacks against the strongholds of Hezbollah resistance organization inside the Lebanese territory. Also in Tunisia, citizens took to the streets to show their solidarity with the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, besieged by Israel for the last 23 days. Demonstrations took place after the Committee on Rights and Freedoms of the Assembly of People's Representatives approved a bill defining the normalization of diplomatic relations with Israel as a crime. Also in Morocco, people rallied in the city of Casablanca, protesting the acts of violence perpetrated by Israel against Palestine. Demonstrators requested that their government stop all negotiations intended to normalize relations with Israel, and they denounced the situation in Gaza as a genocide. In Germany, people demonstrated in the city of Berlin, showing solidarity with the people of the besieged Gaza Strip. German demonstrators requested from the international community to save Gaza in the face of the attacks and constant bombardments from Israel. The Germans have expressed their solidarity with Gaza despite possible criticism from the international community against those who support the Palestinian cause.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Thousands of demonstrators rallied in Madrid to demand a ceasefire and to ask for humanitarian aid for Gaza and an end to the Israeli siege of the Gaza Strip. During the demonstration, the second vice president of the Spanish government, Yolanda Díaz, stated that Israel is committing war crimes and referred to the purging of legal responsibilities and to international legality. She also stressed the need for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Díaz recalled that 40% of the population in Gaza are children. The leader of the Sumar coalition also expressed her indignation at the crimes of the Zionist regime. Israeli shelling against Gaza continues for the 23rd consecutive day. The health system collapsed as a consequence of the bombardments and blockade of necessary resources. Our colleague Huda has the details in the following report.
We are in the Khan Yunis Hospital, one of the biggest hospitals in the Gaza Strip and the biggest hospital of this region. Since the beginning of this war, unfortunately the health sector suffers from a great crisis. And due to this crisis, 11 major hospitals in the Strip have had to close their doors, in addition to other 30 health centers. Since the beginning of this aggression, Israel has prevented the entry of fuel, has prevented the entry of medicines, and has prevented the entry of medical supplies. That is why most of these sectors is totally collapsed. Even though hospitals keep their doors open, they have assured that they cannot give the necessary treatment to these wounded, and according to what we have been informed, the numbers of wounded and the numbers of martyrs continues to increase. In the last 30 hours, the occupation army cut off communications from the Gaza Strip, cutting the internet, the network coverage, and even the telephone lines. For more than 30 hours, we were cut off from the world. Even the media could not know what was going on outside, and we could not broadcast what the occupation army was doing in the Gaza Strip. This also unfortunately affected the health sector, where it was not known exactly where Israel was bombing the Gaza Strip. And after those 30 hours, it was known exactly where those explosions took place, and medical teams went to the areas of the bombings. Due to these incidents, the numbers of casualties has increased, and these 23 days has reached 10,000 victims, and also the number of wounded has increased a lot, reaching 20,000 victims in these 23 days.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. In Colombia, the regional and local elections move forward. More than 38 million were summoned to the polls to vote. The more than 19,922 polling stations set up by the National Electoral Council opened their doors at 8 a.m. local time. Citizens will have to elect 1,102 mayors, 32 governors, 12,072 councilmen, 418 deputies, and 6,885 town councilmen. Within the framework of this day, approximately 120,193 police officers were deployed to ensure the security of the elections. Polls are expected to close at 4 p.m. local time. The President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, went to the voting center of the Marco Antonio Carreño School in Puente Aranda to exercise his right to vote in the regional elections. The President, who was accompanied by his family, urged citizens to vote with total normality and expressed his hope for Colombian democracy. Colombian Interior Minister Luis Fernando Velasco confirmed the opening of all the voting stations in the country, supported by the police forces to ensure security at each polling center.
Most important thing, the most relevant aspect, we open all the voting centers. That means, Mr. Minister of Defense, that the military, police, and UNP have fulfilled their objectives, and they have done so because more than 250,000 of your men under your command have gone to the last corner of Colombia, and despite some pessimistic voice, we were able to open all the polling stations.
Meanwhile, Minister Velasco said that despite the murder of an official of the registry office in the municipality of Gamarra, the electoral voting started with normality.
There will be elections in absolutely every corner of Colombia. Of course, we are hurt by what happened yesterday in Gamarra, but I want to tell you that polling stations also opened there, and that the police and the prosecutor's office will very soon locate the perpetrators of that barbaric killing of an official of the registry, an incident in which 2 other people were injured, along with 2 policemen. Those people have already been identified, and as soon as they are captured, they will be brought before the authorities.
Mexico's National Meteorological Service reported on Saturday the formation of a tropical depression south of the state of Chiapas. Due to the dynamics and wind evolution of this depression, it may constitute a danger for the hydrometeorological situation in the region. Its extensive area of clouds will originate potential intense rains. The forecast stresses the possibility of the occurrence of strong gusts of wind that can go from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, responsible for waves and swells with waves of 1 to 2 meters high on the coast of Oaxaca, Chiapas, and in the Gulf of Tehuantepec. The weather agency called on the population to take extreme safety measures and precautions in areas of the aforementioned states. In Brazil, at least 60 municipalities in the state of Amazonas are in emergency due to the drought affecting that region. The districts of Presidente Figueiredo and Apuí are in a state of alert, affecting more than 600,000 people and 152,000 families. Authorities in the Manaus region say that this is the worst drought in 121 years. Authorities also report that on Friday the Negro River reached 12.5 meters, which is the lowest level since 1902. Experts say that this is a consequence of the El Niño phenomenon, together with the abnormal warming of the surface waters of the Pacific Ocean. In Brazil, hundreds of delegates took part in the country's 7th National Congress of the Popular Movement Central. Our correspondent Brian Meir has the details in the following report.
Over 500 delegates from 21 states and dozens of guest speakers are in Salvador, Bahia for the 7th National Congress of the CMP, or Popular Movement Central, one of Brazil's most important social movements. One of the highlights has been a debate on fighting fascism.
Participatory democracy is when we build people's power inside the democratic process. This is a central element in the fight against fascism because it was very important to defeat Bolsonaro electorally, but today Bolsonaro is the expression of a right-wing extremist mass political movement that does not just confront us in the center of National Congress, it confronts us in our own neighborhoods.
A recent study produced by São Paulo Federal University shows that 20% of Brazil's population still identifies as hardcore followers of Bolsonarismo and classifies them as having fascist sympathies. The delegates at the CMP Congress engaged in spirited debate on how to counter this force in society.
We are reaffirming our commitment to fighting fascism at the Central de Movimientos Populares Congress, CAMRES. We all should go back to our neighborhoods and occupy more territory that is free from hunger and free from misery. We all women have the right to preschools for their children.
A recurring theme during the afternoon of debate was that, like the struggle for socialism, the fight against fascism must be international.
We have to be careful because fascism is not just a little thing that freely operates inside capitalism. It is a lot stronger than that. It is much more active in the assassination of the working class. To give you an example, it is the fascists who are maintaining the war in Ukraine because 40% of Ukraine's army are fascist.
The CMP Congress ends today with the election of a new national directorate. Brian Meir, teleSUR, Salvador.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, here you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In Kazakhstan, the death toll in coal mine collapse rose to 42. The emergency ministry reported that so far the bodies of 42 people have been recovered while the search for the missing continues. It detailed that of the more than 252 people who were trapped, about 200 managed to exit and 18 were given medical attention. Due to this incident, the government of Kazakhstan declared Sunday a day of national mourning and ordered the care of the victims as well as a suspension of the investment with the mining company ArcelorMittal Temirtau. In Barat, at least one person was killed following three explosions at a religious center in the southwest of the country. On Saturday, bombs went off at intervals of a few seconds inside the Samra Convention Center, one of the largest gathering places in the state of Kerala. State officials said 10 people suffered severe burns and were taken to a specialized care center. The other victims were taken to the nearest hospital. An inquiry into the incident is underway, and authorities have not yet ruled out the possibility of a terrorist attack. At a meeting with U.S. businessmen and representatives of other sectors in Washington, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi encouraged them to profit from high-quality innovation growth opportunities opening up in China. Minister Wang urged overcoming any obstacles in bilateral relations that might prevent the implementation of the consensus reached by the China and U.S. presidents at their latest meeting in Bali, soon to be followed by another meeting in San Francisco. The Chinese minister affirmed that the basis for mutually beneficial cooperation remains strong, that the interests of both nations are closely intertwined, and that a strong U.S.-China relationship is crucial to the success of both countries. In China, the 10th Xiangshan International Forum on Global Security kicked off. Representatives from more than 90 countries and international organizations, including 22 defense ministers and 14 military chiefs from Russia and the United States, have gathered in the city of Beijing to reach consensus on a global security initiative. The event also seeks to promote equality, tolerance, and mutual understanding among countries. The China Media Group signed memorandums with the Center of Greek and Chinese Asian Civilizations and the International Olympic Academy, respectively, in Athens. In the deal with the Center of Greek and Chinese Asian Civilizations, the two sides agreed to deepen cooperation on information sharing, co-production on programs and innovative technology so as to help scholars from China and Greece advance their academic studies on languages, history, and cultures. The Memorandum of Cooperation signed between the CMG and the IOA seeks to strengthen cooperation in broadcast technology, innovation, electronic sports events development, and youth training. Both parties agreed to promote the Olympic spirit and the Chinese sportsmanship so as to contribute to a shared future for mankind. Matthew Perry, one of the stars of the TV sitcom Friends, was found dead at his house on Saturday, U.S. media reported. Law enforcement sources told the Los Angeles Times that Perry was found unconscious in a hot tub at his Los Angeles home by first responders who were unable to revive him. The LA Times and TMZ, which first reported the news, both said there were no signs of foul play, citing unnamed sources. Perry was best known for his portrayal of Chandler Bing on the popular NBC series Friends, which aired for 10 seasons from 1994 to 2004. Perry had struggled for years with his addiction to painkillers and alcohol and had attended rehab clinics on multiple occasions. TMZ reported that no drugs were found at the scene on Saturday. Russia said on Saturday that its forces shot down several Ukrainian fighter jets, while Ukraine claimed hitting Russia's artillery system, according to official briefings from the two countries. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that Russian forces have repelled multiple attacks by the Ukrainian army in Kupiansk, Donetsk, Kherson, and other directions. The ministry also said that its air defense forces shot down Ukrainian MiG-29 Su-25 fighter jets and multiple drones. They also intercepted multiple projectiles and missiles and attacked the Ukrainian HIMARS multiple rocket launcher systems. On the same day, a report released by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces showed that dozens of battles took place in the frontline areas in the past 24 hours. The Ukrainian Air Force launched multiple airstrikes on Russian military personnel and equipment positions and hit artillery systems and other targets. We have come to the end of this news brief. Before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscast and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events, hear live stories of the people of the South, and break the hegemonic media dominance. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.